A note to listeners, the following podcast contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences.
I don't think he expected me to find Carlo or find him as quickly as I did, because he was one of the first people I did find. And I had told him over the phone that I had found him. And it was the first time I would say I saw the serial killer come out. And we've been working together, talking every day. And he jumped. It was like, suddenly I saw the serial killer. And it was chilling.
And they found some fire roads that didn't look very well used, and so they cut the locks off of them and put their own lock on there, because they knew that fire department ain't never going to come here except for when there's a fire.
Right.
They do, and the lock won't open, they'll just cut the damn lock anyway. But their thing was, is by keeping a lock on there, they could keep people out from going in. So they would go there, open the gate, drive in, lock the gate behind them, and go down to wherever, and that's where they'd throw the bodies at.
Because there is another unknown location. Bittaker and Norris actually exchanged letters after the trial, surprisingly, but they corresponded for a while. And the first letter Bittaker wrote to Norris is, "Did you take them to..."
You are listening to Partners in True Crime. We are your hosts, Rob and Cindy Dorfman. Hi, everyone. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, even if it's one word.
And please subscribe to our website, www.partnersintruecrime. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram to check out our weekly promos. We're also now on YouTube at Partners in True Crime. If you subscribe to our website, you'll be getting weekly emails from us and all kinds of promotions and things that we don't advertise on the podcast.
In part one of our interview with Carlo Douglas, he revealed his intimate conversations with the toolbox killer, Lawrence Bittaker, while being locked up in the same tier inside LA County Jail. It was those conversations that led to Carlo testifying against Bittaker in open court to secure his death sentence.
In part two of our interview with Carlo, he reveals to Laura some other locations where Bittaker bragged about dumping some of his victims' remains that the police have never searched for.
Due to the sensitivity of this information, we will be bleeping out some of the locations of these places out of respect of the victims and their families.
The other reason is because we will be putting together a team of experts to search those targeted areas in the hopes of finding remains of missing victims.
According to Carlo, Bittaker told him that there were many more victims out there. Let's hear what he has to say.
I don't know. Have you told them about that little episode when you first mentioned me to Bittaker?
I don't think they know this story. Rob and Cindy, have I told you when I told Bittaker about when I found Carlo?
I think you did, but let's tell us that again. You told us a little bit about it, but yet remind us again.
I had told Bittaker that I had found Carlo. Well, he had given me the police discovery, and I said, I'm going to track down all the witnesses. And maybe, I guess he must have thought the jailhouse informants maybe died off. A lot did. I don't think he expected me to find Carlo or find him as quickly as I did, because he was one of the first people I did find. And I had told him over the phone that I had found him. And it was the first time I would say I saw the serial killer come out. And we've been working together, talking every day. And he jumped. It was like, suddenly I saw the serial killer. And it was chilling. I mean, beyond chilling, because if you look at the transcripts of Lynette Ledford, he says to her, like, roll over, girl, get down, girl. Like, he keeps using the word girl. And he said to me, it was like he snarled at me and said, "You don't question me, girl." And it made me think of the tape and Lynette. And it was like probably the way he snarled was probably the exact same way he snarled at her. And I was just like, whoa. It was like the first time I saw his serial killer jump out. I'd seen Norris livid and in that mode before, but this was the first time for Bittaker. And he just went off about Carlo.
Because he...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm the one that was the one that guaranteed the conviction at the end of the day. Oh, and the worst thing was his lawyer. Oh, God, his lawyer was stupid. His lawyer was a snake. He asked me questions he was so stupid he didn't know the answer to. And when he tried to provoke me, that was a fucking stupid mistake. Because nothing but raw, pure, truthful emotion came out. And like Steve told me later, says, no, the jury likes you. I said, what do you mean they like me? He said, no, the jury likes you. And apparently, I don't know, it was something his read or how he saw it, but he told me, after trial, he was telling me about how, no, the jury likes you because of what you did and how you spoke and your whole attitude. And it was one answer I gave that actually kind of shut it down. It was at the end of my testimony, I think, when the lawyer asked me some stupid-ass question, and I blurted back to him about how, well, a 13, 15-year-old, she didn't ask to be beaten, raped, and killed either, did she? Some shit like that. But it was what he said to me, and it was a provocation about my crime. You see what I mean? I had given him, I think I gave an answer, and then the way it just come out, I can't remember exactly how it was, but I know it was something he said, and it triggered me. And I went up verbally, completely emotional, didn't think, like I told you before, Cindy, there's no filter,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what a filter is. I've never had one and don't know how. If I had one, wouldn't know how to use it anyway.
Yeah.
But I came out with that line, and the way I said it, everybody saw. I mean, this was a real human being.
Well, you came off credible because you had nothing to lose. You were already going to prison, all right? So you're not getting any sweetheart deal. So
no, I ain't get shit. I got put in danger.
Exactly. You're putting your life on the line. Testifying.
Got put through a bunch of shit.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit. Did you get any repercussions from your testimony once you got housed?
No. Well, first I was housed in a high security area anyway, you see, to keep me protected. And because of that factor, I got grief and what have you. And then later on, when I managed to get out of that housing situation and I got out to Mainline, I ran across people that were the parts over there. In fact, it was called Palm Hall in Chino. Okay, Chino is the illustrious high security unit of Chino Reception. That's where they bring all the big time gang members and high profile criminals. Everything, everybody goes there. And then they have like the one section where they'll have people and they keep their information low if they can, but they try to, but you're in a protective situation. And because I was in that part, it's like, well, hey, what were you doing over there in Palm Hall? Why were you blah blah blah? You kind of get what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not in Palm Hall for just because they put you there. You're in Palm Hall because you're either a high-profile, high-power criminal or you're protected. So that's what put me into jeopardy on that regard.
But when you testified against Bittaker, you weren't ever going to get anything out of it. It wasn't like they were saying if you testify, you're going to get a lesser sentence, or there was no motivation.
No, they couldn't do nothing. No, in fact, the first thing out of Stephen's mouth was the fact that he goes, I can't do anything for you. He goes, I can't get you out of prison. I can't get your sentence low. I can't get nothing for you. He goes, but I really need you. He goes, I need you to testify. He goes, and then he told all the shit is true. They actually did this, and we need you to help us convict them. He was honest. From the get-go, he was honest. He didn't bullshit me. He didn't jerk me around. I mean, the detectives didn't really jerk me around, but they bullshitted me some. That's their job. Their job is to find out as much as they can with giving away as little as possible. But there does come a point in time when you got to look somebody face to face. You have to make a decision, and Stephen did. He was honest with me. He told me the truth, and when he spoke to me, I know he was telling me the truth. He was sincere, and it's what kind of helped me to be okay with it. The fact that and you have to understand, in my perception, my view, these weren't criminals. See, a criminal was the guy that goes and does a robbery, or you might kill somebody, but it's in this, or you're doing that, or you're, the great train robbery. Let's go with this. That's what my perceptions of criminals were. Drug dealing and things like that going on, which is what I had been involved in at that point. That's what part of the murder with me involved was over.
And you were young. You were 20, so you'd never encountered
and they
some
had to
sadistic...
deal with drugs, and and they had to deal with other people. I mean, and I'll be frank with you, one of them was an actual mafia figure. If you go in the transcripts, I think it's in there somewhere about him. In my case, Laura, I know you've done that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you went and researched my deal. You wanted to see what the hell was going on.
Well, I had to investigate this whole case, I had to check on everything.
And so saying that, you were young and you had never encountered sadistic serial killer before.
No, I mean, I even knew a hired killer, a contract killer. Person that was, knew him. And I never did anything with him as far as for crime would be. But again, just knowing it's like, you didn't, in the world that I had been brought through at that point in time, that was a symbiotic, susceptible individual to me. You know what I mean? He's a cold-blooded but he's a hired killer. He's a professional. He wasn't a sadistic, child molesting piece of shit. So it's not that I'm saying that person was better or what have you, but it's just the perceptions I had at that time and, being young as I was.
The term serial killer came about in 1974 by Robert Ressler. It wasn't well known. This was something that just sprung up in Los Angeles. It was an epidemic at the time. And like I said, it was only a few years, it was only the FBI really at that time using that term. This is brand new. So you're encountering something that is also brand new of its time. I mean, serial killing has been around through the centuries, but it wasn't, an epidemic happening in a city. And you're in county jail and you're surrounded by a lot of them.
Yeah, well, like I was explaining too, that's the vast majority of people when you went to jail back then, they were actual criminals. They were there for committing a criminal offense, and it wasn't personal crimes against people. I mean, that's the best way I can figure of explaining that one. It's, you know, I mean, it wasn't personal type things against individuals for like a woman or a child or what have you. You get what I mean?
No, we
You
totally,
didn't
and like,
have
you know,
that.
just, I mean,
You
I
didn't
completely
have that in the criminal element.
No, I
you know?
completely understand. I mean, I've spent.
See, back then, people like that, they were never disclosed. You never, you know, they never admitted shit like Whitaker did. I mean, it was really stunning. That's why I didn't believe him. Come on, who's gonna do this crazy ass stuff like this and then walk and brag about it, talk about it to just anybody?
And
You see
Laura,
my point?
why do you think he did that, Laura?
Like I said, it goes back to that need for attention, wanting to be noticed. I mean, it's like this childhood trauma played against him in his adulthood. And I think and also another aspect of it is he was actually proud of what he had done.
Sure.
He was proud of what he had done.
His
Played this
ego.
for years.
Ego.
And he had been active for 20 years before he even teamed up with Norris, you know? So even though he's caught, it's like he in his mind, I still got a long run and I wasn't caught by the police. I got a partner who got us caught in his mind, and he's bragging. And he's in there and he's bragging.
Exactly. And his whole mentality was that you didn't catch me. You got them pieces of shit to rat on me, you see?
Yeah.
And
Right.
the truth of it is I didn't rat on you. I testified, yeah. But you stupid asshole, had you kept your mouth shut, you'd have never known who I was, because I'd have never known who you were. Pretty much it. I mean, I know he had talked to other people or bragged. I mean, I heard that there was a whole section in the count where he was at one point where he actually drew pictures of pliers on the wall.
Yeah, I gave that picture to Cindy and Rob actually just recently.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I saw the pictures later on from the jail cell down there that the detectives had. You know, because after the trial and everything, then they talked to me and started telling me all the shit that I'd said to them. I said, well, this part here, we know. He goes, but this part here, it relates to a murder that we haven't been able to find yet. See, they knew that there were more murders. They knew. They just couldn't figure any of it out. And to be honest with you, I can kind of remember the detectives and stuff and the mentality of a lot of them and what they were going through some shit over this case. This whole deal fucked with every one of them mentally and emotionally.
It did. It really did. A lot of them.
I mean, it's possible that it just got to a point for the detectives where it became so overwhelming. It was like, I can't handle any more of this. We got this much. So let's convict him and put him on death row. Let's get rid of him.
Yeah.
You know, kind of mentality. It's like, and for them, it was like just saving their own souls, their own sanity.
Just get him off the street.
At that point, you know, because I mean, like I say, I mean, there were times where I spent hours and hours with those detectives, just sitting around, sometimes just simply chatting. You know, it wasn't forced conversations. It wasn't question and answer. It was just chatting, going over, talking about things. And oh yeah, no, blah, 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 you know, and, you know, they would make their notes and do their recordings and stuff. But I thought everybody always knew that there was more victims, you know, I mean, that was my thought. I mean, they bragged about them.
Yeah.
You know,
well, how would you know?
Did.
How would you know he didn't tell everybody else about it? You just assume if he's telling you, he was telling other people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I understand that he did tell other people. He had told. That's why he ended up in high power, because they had to move him to separate. You know, for the separation of him and the new potential witnesses, Conejo and this other guy. I can't remember who the hell he is.
Shenley.
Huh?
Shenley.
Yeah. Oh, Chili Willie. Yeah, it was his nickname, but his real name, I can't remember the guy's name. He was.
Bill.
I know he's dead. He was a straight up heroin addict.
No, he's alive.
Chili's still alive, but what? There was a few of them though. There was the one guy who
you might be thinking of Gary Williams. He did die.
Okay, yeah, I know. But there was a guy that Conejo was friends with. Him and Conejo were old friends. They had actually testified in other cases before together.
It's all interesting. What else did he tell you about hiding these in the dumping ground? Because you talked a little bit about when you was talking to Cindy yesterday. She told me that about some of the other places where they dumped bodies. You talked a little bit about with Cindy the other day. She told me about where he told you where some other bodies are.
Well, it's ironic because they would always go up to Hunga from La Cañada Flint Ridge area. The two, they actually were concerned with Little Tahunga. They had tried going up there, but it was scary for them because they have a lot of people that live up that way. You know, up Little Tahunga, all the way up, to the animal sanctuary that used to be there. It's there no more now. But you see, there was always that. And there was always a lot of traffic that goes up Little Tahunga and then comes out over on Sand Canyon off the 14. So it wasn't really the ideal place for them because, you know, that's what, you know, Roy had even admitted that to me later. He said, no, because there was too much traffic. Guys on motorcycles and stuff all the time through there, stuff like that. And I'm thinking, well, shit, that was one of them might have been me even because I used to ride my same thing. Motorcycle, I used to ride all the way through there.
I used to do it all the time too.
Go up Little Tonga and come out by Sand Canyon. So they were they didn't like it because Roy had said one time they were over there looking for a place to drop this girl's body. And he said that out of nowhere, the guy comes flying around the corner on a motorcycle, and while they throws up, and they're like, okay, you know, and the next thing you know, there's another one, then another one. He says, no, I said, we had to leave there. You know, he said, no, it was too dangerous type thing. So their main thing was going up the 2 highway. That was one of them, but there was another area. Oh, shit.
Laura, can you jar his memory a little bit?
Rancho Cucamonga?
Yeah, but...
Can you say that again, Laura?
Rancho Cucamonga?
Yeah, they, you know, I mean, they were all over the place all the time. Mostly what they were looking for was young girls in skimpy clothing by beach communities or what would be summer communities, people where a lot of kids would be. Montclair was another area they went to.
What about Ventura?
Ventura they went to often. They went up there. There's a beach section up there. Because girls would be hitchhiking up there all the time, and it was really secluded. And there was, it's on the far north end of Malibu. There's a canyon road that comes down right there. I can't remember the name of it.
Canaan Dune?
Which one?
Canaan Dune?
No, not Canaan Dune. It's after
Topanga?
No, it's way the hell. It's north of Malibu, which would be even north of Malibu Canyon, that's what it was called back then, Malibu Canyon. Now it's called Las Vegas or whatever some name, they changed it.
Yeah.
Calabasas?
No, it's up past Calabasas.
No, not Calabasas. No, but they mentioned this place because it was a rather secluded canyon road that goes all the way up. You can go through the canyons here, and from one road you can hit, I can't think of the name of it, that rides along the mountaintops.
Are you talking about Mulholland?
Mulholland, that's it, Mulholland Drive. Yeah, where Mulholland Drive goes out that way. It goes to a point, and then Mulholland comes to almost to an end, and there's a road that swings and goes down and comes down to Malibu, to PCH, north of Malibu. Mulholland ends in that part there, and then it picks up again, I think, another 10 miles up in Ventura.
Well, Dirt Mulholland continues, and then the paved...
Yeah, but right before the Dirt Mulholland, there's a roadway that crosses through there, and it doesn't cross straight across. Like, it'll come from one part here, and you go up a little Mulholland, and then the other one goes this way going west, and it would go back down to PCH, that area right in there.
Well, I'm looking at a map here, and I think what you're describing is over near Bell Canyon and Upper...
Bell Canyon. There you go. That's it, Bell Canyon.
Yeah.
And where Bell Canyon comes, there's a road it goes to that exits onto PCH.
Las Virgenes Canyon. Is that it?
No, it's north of there.
North of there.
I know it's north of there. Because, in fact, where I used to come out, I would come out and I could go a little north to the Nest.
And then I'm looking on the map here because then you're getting past Malibu, you're in Agora Hills. Well, anyway.
Because I even know the road. As you're coming down it to go to PCH, it comes down swerveling. Then it does this looping, a left-hand circle, and you're coming down the side of the mountain with the beach out here off the coast to you, off your right side, as you're coming down this hill, and it goes all the way down to the bottom and swings to the right, and boom, PCH. Now, I know that's a distinctive road that you'll be able to notice on the map.
Yeah.
Do you see the one it's north of Malibu Canyon or Las Vegas, but it's just south of the county line, Ventura, LA County line, where the that Nest restaurant and place is right there. And the surf, where they always go off the thing right there to surf.
Oh, yeah. Pelicans Point. Right. Pelicans Point.
That's it. Yeah. Now you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Okay, well, it's before there.
It's before there. Okay, so Malibu, there's Solstice Canyon Road, and there's...
Solstice?
Yep, and then there's...
The Solstice go up off of PCH, and then it goes at a side angle, and goes for a long little distance, about a mile, and then it swings going up into the mountains.
Yep.
That's it, Solstice.
Yep.
Now, if you trace Solstice, you'll see where it goes all the way back up through these other roads and connects them out to Mulholland. Yep. It connects to Mulholland through another road or something.
And that would make
the roads in my head.
Yeah, that would make sense because I'm looking in the map and it's like that's a really remote road.
Okay.
A lot of switchbacks.
Exactly. And nobody's ever coming that way.
Nope. It's not a high traffic road.
It's exactly. In fact, when you get to of Mulholland, that part in that section there, like a mile in width for that whole section going from the West Coast through the mountains toward the 101, freeway, right? If you look at all those roading, there's a lot of little roads, mountain roads through there. And there's no homes, I don't know about now, but I mean, back then there was nothing, but there was all these little mountain roads that were just all through the area. And nobody ever went there. In fact, I don't even know why the hell they ever built roads there, to be honest. I mean, somebody said, okay, let's put a road here, for no other reason than there's not one.
You told me yesterday about the fire roads that he told you about. What can you tell me about that? How they took the locks off?
Yeah, well, what they would do is they would go up Angeles Crest 2 Highway out of La Cañada, Flint Ridge, off of Foothill right there. Now, I had thought about it, and I think I mentioned that anything that there's there, You have to go up all the way to the overlook. There's an overlook about 5 miles up, I guess, a main overlook where it's pretty big, where you can park about 10, 15 cars right there. They had actually gone to that overlook a few times and were doing, but somebody pulled up one time. They had the girl in the van, were beating and raping her right there, and these people pulled up and they kind of freaked out. They were like, oh shit, and they're out of their car looking at it and talking and whatever they were doing. And Bittaker said, he jumped in the seat naked, and backed up the van and took off and went further up the hill. That was that one time. But what they had done was they went up there and they found some of the fire roads that were navigable with the van. Because you have to understand, most of the fire roads are not very safe, okay? You need to have pretty much a 4-wheel drive vehicle to go on any of those fire roads because of the angles of them, right? But they would take and they found some fire roads that didn't look very well used, and so they cut the locks off of them and put their own lock on there because they knew that fire department ain't never going to come here except for when there's a fire.
Right.
They do, and the lock won't open, they'll just cut the damn lock anyway. But their thing was by keeping a lock on there, they could keep people out from going in. So they would go there, open the gate, drive in, lock the gate behind them, and go down to wherever, and that's where they'd throw the bodies at, over the cliffs. And like I told Laura, they never buried any of them. I don't care what they told other people, they lied if they did. Because Roy insisted the whole reason they never buried anybody was because they wanted the animals to decimate them and destroy the evidence.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I have a picture of Bittaker breaking up the lock. They wanted private access to these fire roads.
Yeah, they have, their own personal access.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
see? Now, what I explained to Cindy yesterday, and I'm sure you guys, when you do whatever publication of these recordings, you'll edit certain parts, because I've been a strong opponent of this whole matter for one reason only. And that's why it took Laura a couple of years of talking with me before I even agreed to even help her in any way on some of this. I don't know.
We understand that rationale.
So that in mind, see, I have the kind of brain that if I wasn't a criminal, I'd have probably been one of the top detectives in the police force somewhere. Who knows? Because I just can figure shit out by looking at it. And like I was saying about earlier, about being dyslexic the way I am, I can see things from a point. I mean, I can look at this in a peripheral format and I start seeing everybody else sees the same picture, but I will always see it differently because I can't see it the way you do. But because of that, I also think differently in those regards. I told Cindy yesterday when we spoke, fire roads that Norris and Bittaker talked about, in all probability, are not there. They might have drawn you a map, Laura, but how is the map in relation to the fire road you think they used? Okay, this is what you need to look for. I know for a fact CAL FIRE would have them, and they're called topographical maps. So remember, we didn't have all this satellite crap and drones and all this stuff back then, like you do now, Google and all. So they had topographical maps. These topographical maps, those old ones, are going to have the original fire roads, because fire roads change every so many years. We just had a big flood last year, right? Out here where I live, all the fire roads are changed. They're actually pulling because they have mudslides, land movement, things like that, growth, the brush, it changes the landscape, that pitch of the angle of the downslope. So
that's
now
correct. We worked off of 1979 topical maps. Those are the ones we actually use. Well, I want to talk about, because there is another unknown location. Bittaker and Norris actually exchanged letters after the trial, surprisingly, but they corresponded for a while. And the first letter Bittaker wrote to Norris is, "Did you take them to?" And I wanted to know what you know about, which is, is further up into San Gabriel.
You know why he never told you where the caves were, Laura?
Why?
Because the last thing he wanted you to do was go find them and find the bodies.
He told me there's skulls. I'll find skulls in the cave. He did tell me that.
He did. That's okay.
Yeah.
But that's why he's never told you the truth. But there's also other evidence in there. Say, just like the bag of stuff, trinkets and, trophies that they have stashed that they hid over there by Forest Lawn. But you're going to have a hell of a time because, again, we're looking at 40 years. The landscape has changed. I mean, floods, brush. I mean, you probably walked right by the damn cave and didn't even know it, because it's not a big cave entrance like you're going to see like a Yogi Bear thing up there. There's no signs, okay? It's a thing down here on the ground with a hole, and you got to kind of crawl down and get in, and then all of a sudden it's a little chamber in there.
Yeah. Even today, it's very desolate. I've gone to twice. It's a very desolate area.
Maybe with the right type of equipment from an aerial perspective, like ground penetrating sonar, you say, if they can do it from an aerial level, do a pattern search, and they would hit the pockets. And what I mean by pockets is they would hit the pockets that are the caves. A lot would depend on how good the equipment is and how dense the rock is above it. Yeah, a ground penetrating radar.
What did Bittaker tell you exactly about the cave off that?
it didn't really go into all the detail of exactly where to go. Like, you got to go this way, then that way. Now, he never told me any of that. I mean, he was never that, but he told me about it, that, we had a camp. Well, he had a camp is what he had said. They had a camp up there.
Well, there's cabins, yeah. And they were there at the time Bittaker was there, Bittaker and Norris. They've been there since 1950.
But were they, I mean, I didn't ask him about that part. I mean, it didn't, I wasn't really questioning him, when he would tell me this stuff. I was just, yeah, okay, well, sure. But he told me that they had a cabin up there. So I don't know, was it, he said they had a camp.
There's a camp next to the cabins. There's people go
so
tents,
was he talking about those places, or did they have a private little camp of their own that they made?
Well, he did go to the cabins. He did. They're called cabins.
Okay, well, then that means that wherever that cave is, it would have to be within walking distance. I'd say it's no more than a quarter mile away from the cabins. You know why? Bittaker couldn't go that fucking far without having leg trouble.
He told me it's close to the cabins, too.
Now, but you understand why? I don't know what it was. It was something about one of his legs. He had problems with it, and if he tried to walk too much or stand too long, it gave him problems. So wherever those caves are, they can't be that far from wherever the car would have been parked, because he couldn't fucking walk that far. And then trying to carry or drag a body with him, even though he had Norris helping. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So wherever the caves are, they have to be within a certain distance only from, surprise, Laura. Some more info to follow up on now, huh?
Well, Norris had told me they tried to put like chains in the cave to keep the victims there alive, actually.
They tried to, it was stupid, because they tried to develop a gas-powered drill, or so they could drill portholes to put the anchor bolts in. Bittaker modified a drill to make it gas-powered, because they couldn't drill into the rock, obviously. They didn't have portable equipment like you do now back then. But he told me there was a gas-powered drill he made. They carried up there, and they were going to try and drill the holes to put rocks. They actually was talking about making it into a little chamber, cover it where they could lock it in. I mean, like
They were, yeah.
Okay, well, damn, he told you a lot too, huh?
He did.
Well, again, look at how well his memory was. I mean, I wasn't trying to, Laura, I didn't live this. I wasn't trying to remember all this shit. And he did. He lived it. It was his memories. And he can remember, and he'd still tell you all that shit. I can't believe it.
Yeah, he had found the caves as a teenager and had always fantasized about making them into a chamber.
See, that's premeditated. That's evil. That's pure evil.
Okay. He's 38.
Yeah, he was 17. He was a teenager at the time
when he found him. Yeah.
And then here it is, more than 20 years later, he's still, he's carrying out what he was thinking of 20 years before.
So, Laura, do you think
if that's not premeditated, what can possibly be?
Yeah, no,
really.
There's no doubt. I mean, he's an evil individual, and there's no other word for it. Laura, do you think that he started operating younger than we originally thought?
Yes, so he's told me his first kill was at 17, 18. Now, to me, he described it as an accident. He shot somebody, but that's the first one he reported to me.
And he didn't go to prison for that, or jail, or anything?
No, he never was caught. Never was caught.
What were the circumstances?
He was robbing a store, and he shot the guy.
Oh. Okay.
With a shotgun, very close range.
Are we talking about New Iberia?
No. This is actually South Bay area, because he was actually he was from Lawndale when he moved to California. That's where he was living, and his girlfriend was in Long Beach at the time. But yeah, he started young. You got to remember, when he was in and out of prison, he was living in downtown LA. He even stayed at the Cecil, the Alexandria. He was staying downtown, and he was getting a lot of victims from just downtown. Like, Norris was the one who was more picky, who wanted these young, blue-eyed blondes, and so did Bittaker. But Bittaker was more of a predator in the sense that he would take anyone. He just wanted a victim to torture, where Norris was the picky one.
Norris was trying to satisfy his sexual perversions.
They both were. They
was without a doubt. But like you said, Bittaker was he didn't give a fuck who the victim was, as long as he could get a victim.
Right, correct. Anything was fair game to him. Anything. Anyone, he didn't care. He was a hunter in like the purest sense.
Let me ask you, Laura, so as far as anyone knows, the caves have never even really been sought for, have they? No one knows about them except for you and I, unless he's told anyone else, which I never heard of before. I doubt it, because I don't think the detectives knew about it.
No, because that's why he asked Norris, did you take them to in the letter? Norris wrote back, no one knows about
Norris told me about kill.
Yeah, but Norris didn't even tell the police about
Bittaker had mentioned, but I didn't really comprehend it at that point. It didn't, go into, he talked about the caves, but it was Norris later on, when Norris and I got to talk, and Norris was the one that really told me all the details of the caves and the stuff involved.
Yeah.
Laura, have you been out to those caves?
Oh, I've been trying to find them. I've been up twice. One time I was there alone. I called Carlo to rescue me because I was so scared being up in those serial killer cabins by myself. And do you remember that, Carlo?
Yes,
like,
I do.
Why did you go alone without a gun?
That's exactly what the fuck are you doing over there without a gun?
I remember
I
that.
I wouldn't have gone there without a gun.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you have no service.
You got nothing but your own balls. That's it.
Yeah.
And being you don't exactly have a pair of those, you need to have a gun.
Yeah.
Even though I have a pair, I still want to have a gun.
Yeah.
Okay. Because guess what? I'm not so worried about the serial killers as I would be of, say, a bear or a mountain lion. Okay. Not that I plan to kill one of them, but believe me, you pop a couple of rounds out of a gun, they'll run.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a bear outside of my cabin. I have a video of it, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. That's why I would want the gun. I'm not worried about, it would never occur to me about the serial killer aspect of it all. But now, as you mentioned, I guess I'll keep that as my top checklist there. But yeah, I was thinking more like the bear, the mountain lion, because they have a lot of them up there. In fact, from this side of the mountains, because I live on the other side of the mountain where you guys are at, we actually have, I've had a mountain lion actually over here in my yard.
They're everywhere. They're walking downtown.
Oh, yeah,
LA.
they were looking for the port. They were looking for the pooch, the puppy. Those caves, Laura, have to be within a certain distance of the cabins.
Yeah, I always stay at the cabins, and I've gone hiking and skiing. I brought friends out. I've taken Carl from DNA Dope Project out. We've taken the drone. We've done.
But you could have walked, Laura. You would have walked right by the damn thing and not even realized.
I know.
And that's the whole catch of it. You'd have to have an idea of where they are or what to look for. I mean, there's going to be something that will show differently. You're going to see brush, but you're going to see a dark brush. Like, you know what I'm saying? Bushes and stuff, but it's dark in there.
He said there's going to be brush over it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be dark. Like, you look at a bush and you can see a certain amount of light that'll pass through it. But then there's some bushes against the side of a hill or something, and only so much light passes through it. Well, when you see bushes that are in front of a cave, and I know this as a fact, they look completely darker, different. But if you don't realize what it is you're seeing, you wouldn't know it because you can't see what's behind there. You just see some dark bushes, and you're like, I'm not going in that shit.
Right.
Tell them what's in there.
Right.
You're thinking there's a snake or this or that or whatever. You're not going to go prowling in those bushes. You don't realize that the darkness is really the cave that's in back of it all that sucks all the light out.
Well, they did that for a reason. Hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to find. But if you know where to look,
exactly,
you can find it.
Exactly.
And they knew that nobody would find it.
When we put our team together, it's definitely going to be on the list. Carlo, we want to just thank you for giving us all this information and all this perspective about your experience with Bittaker and what you did to testify against him.
I did it because it was the right thing to do. I did it because somebody had to. When it truly started to occur, the detectives were talking to me, and then Steve started talking with me, and they convinced me that, no, this is all true. This is what these fucking guys were doing. And then it just became like, oh my God. And it was depressing because I was kind of like in a spot in a way. I didn't want to be involved. I didn't want to testify because I just didn't want to be involved. Quite frankly, Stephen was the one that convinced me. He was the one that made me realize he was a good person. There was everything about him, the way he talked, his attitude and things like that, and the way he was with me, and he treated me. And he acknowledged that, no, you committed a horrible crime. He didn't soft pedal me for what I did. And that is one of the things I kind of respected. He didn't insult me and berate me. You know what I mean? He understood. He acknowledged. It's like, no, dude, you did a pretty messed up crime. You killed this guy, blah, blah, blah. The amount of times he had been shot and things like that.
Carlo, I just have one question, though. There was one other victim that I wanted to ask you about. It's Gretchen, and she went to the Church of Scientology, and she's one that they've hunted her extensively. And I've been trying to find out what happened to her.
You see, and when you told me about it, I was thinking, all right, the Gretchen that Scientology was the one over in Hollywood, because they used to, because they had mentioned that they would park over there sometimes. It's by Children's Hospital.
The Church of Scientology?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one over there. There's a couple. There is one near the Children's Hospital.
Yeah, it's right next to it or something.
Mm-hmm. It's
the
huge.
Big one that you always see the commercials of.
Yeah, it's that big marquee.
I think it's their main headquarter one. Yeah. So when you mentioned the Glendale one, but then that clicked too because I'm like, shit, because that was part of their territory. Burbank, Glendale, La Cañada, Flint Ridge area, not so much La Cañada, Flint Ridge as Burbank and Glendale, and because La Cañada, Flint Ridge is, back then, there were a lot of bikers and stuff that lived up there, and so you really didn't go up there screwing around doing shit wrong, because the last thing they were going to do is call the police, for your ass.
Yeah.
So that was, if you guys, I don't know what you guys, I'm older than all of you, obviously, but, just understanding what it was like then to realize, okay, This is why they wouldn't have been over here doing shit. They never really had a lot.
Well, they couldn't back then.
Go through there.
They couldn't blend. They couldn't blend in that area.
Exactly. No, exactly. They certainly couldn't blend in. Exactly.
Whereas in Glendale, Burbank, Sun Valley, all those areas, they can blend in.
And with the Burbank area, they were always going at young girls because they'd go with the model pitch thing, try and talk to them on the sidewalk and get them close enough to the van where they could snatch them.
They tried to pick up Dina, who we had on the show with the model ruse, in a park in Burbank.
Oh, wow. See, and there's a lot of this stuff, like I say, I'm constantly surprised a little at times because I find out now in hindsight, this shit was actually like just now, what I explained to you, how they did the model thing, in Burbank a lot, because they could catch young girls there going to, because that's where all your, especially the background, central casting, that's where central casting is. But see, again, years ago, Burbank was more of a community style design and setup than the business place it is now. You had the studios and stuff, but other than that, you had homes. You didn't have the train thing running through there like you do now with all the stations and, the metro thing. That wasn't there back then. They didn't have none of that. They just had some bus stops. So you always had girls sitting out there waiting for buses to either, or getting off the buses, or, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So it was, and they were always from other areas, and they knew that. That's why it was a picking ground for them. See, that's also why they liked the beach, because at the beach, who the hell it was always a picking ground. There were always people from somewhere else, oh, good God, what about the one girl? They had one girl that got out of the van on them. You told them about that one, Laura? The girl that got out of the van and started trying to run at the beach, screaming. And their Bitica grabs her and knocks shit out and says, oh, we're taking her to rehab or some shit. She's on drugs and blah, blah, some crazy shit. And nobody did nothing. They're like, oh, okay, right in front of everybody. And nobody, are you kidding me?
The bystander effect is what it's called, yeah.
But he acted like this is, I'm her uncle or some shit like that or something. It had something to do with that.
Is that the one where they said that she was like, she was tripping on acid and
she was tripping on acid. She was on drugs and we're taking her to a hospital in rehab, and he knocked shit out of her, cracks her, and then stuns her. So now her fight's gone. He drags her in the van and they hurt and slammed the door and took the fuck off.
Yeah, that was Leah.
That was Leah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, Carlo, we got to jump off here, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Carlo. This has been great.
And we may call you back because you got a lot of insight here, and if you wouldn't mind.
I was going to mention that before you go. You know what? This is the one time I've actually been comfortable talking with people about it. And Laura, you know what I mean? You've seen my change, my voice, my mentality, my attitude right now compared to what it was like when we were talking with those other people a few times.
Yeah, yeah.
The snakes, as I always referred to them. And I even told you the first time we spoke to them and we got off the phone, I said to you, they're a pack of fucking snakes, right? That's exactly what I said. I said, they're a pack of fucking snakes, right, Laura? She goes, really? You see them that way? I said, yeah. She goes, I kind of feel, and you started telling me your feelings and opinions at that time too, which weren't as high as mine were for certain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I immediately, I knew, and that's why I didn't have anything further after that.
Well, I want to ask you one last question. Do you have anything you want to say to the viewers? Any message before we all jump off?
Well, it couldn't be a simple statement. It was not. There's not enough to suffice that. I've kept quiet and out of the light of all of this mess for all of these years. And like I told you, Laura, I didn't want to be part of all of this. I didn't want to be known. I'm not happy with who I have been. I've been too busy trying to figure out who the fuck Carlo is and what happened. How does Carlo fix Carlo? And it's a long road for me. And this is, in a lot of ways, a distraction because it takes me back to where I have been and I don't want to be anymore. I know my past. I know it vividly. And I just want to be better than what I ever was. And that's all. And I've spent the rest of this time of my life just doing that. It's not easy. I'm not happy. I don't interact well a lot of times with most people because how do I have a conversation with tell them, oh, yeah, well, the one time I was in prison, I was with the serial killers and they told me about this and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, how they did the ice picks and the vice crew. How do you talk with anybody about something like that? You don't.
You can't.
It can't, I can't. But at the same time, I've always had a heart for those poor girls and what happened to them. I have sisters. I've got, a couple of sisters. I've got nieces and stuff. I have a daughter. Even now at 38, my daughter's pretty drop dead gorgeous. Giselle Oh my God, am I terrified for that child? She can rival almost any model in the industry right now. She's that beautiful of a girl. So I'm terrified for them. Somebody has to help make this fucking world better. I don't think I'll be able to, but if I can help somebody else to get it done, yeah, that'll work too.
Well, you did a huge part by
You know.
helping getting Bittaker behind
away.
bars.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the prosecution, the state of California thanks you for that one. You served your time for your crime, and now you're trying to do something better, and you've done that. So you're
Well, I not only served my time, I served every bit of it, okay? And I've continually served in some way or another because every day of my life is still that stigma of my past. I'm never going to be able to get away from it. I'm never, I'm not trying to either. People will never really accept you because they have to know you. Laura has a half-ass acceptance of me because she's gotten to know me, who I am, what happened with Carlo, what motivated him, what brought him to where the hell he went. You have an understanding, a concept of it all to realize that you've had to spend quite a bit of time to learn that about me, Laura.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people don't want to know. They don't care. They see it in only two dimensions, and that's that, So it's kind of it's a stigma for me. I'll have to learn to live, I've learned to live with, and I'll have to live with forever. It's just that. I know somewhere there's someone that is grateful. They don't know me, will never know me, but they're grateful.
I think the families are very grateful.
And the one thing I know for a fact, Bittaker never got the chance to kill anyone else.
That's true.
Okay. And he would have.
Absolutely.
He would have continued. There was no stopping him. And the truth is coming out slowly but truly. It's a shame he is dead, because it'd be interesting, because I know he would never tell you the truth on some of this shit, Laura, but to confront him and see the reaction on his face would tell you the answer you would want to know anyhow.
Yeah.
Okay. Just like the reaction on from him when you told him about me, that told you volumes right there.
It did. It
told you volumes.
Well, it's a great way to end this.
Thank
Carlo,
you, Carlo.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We'll stay in touch.
You're welcome.
We'll let you know.
Okay,
All
sounds
right.
good. And
All right.
one thing I would like to request, though, when you do start planning your escapade up to I'd like to be consulted on that matter.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you right now.
You're more than welcome to come with us.
Exactly.
I'm not going to be, I'm welcomed by you, but I don't want to be welcomed because I'm already feeling chills. Because I already know I'm going to be able to walk up there and I'm going to walk around and it's going to occur to me and I'm going to click. And what I mean is just going to be that something that's going to snap and I'm going to see. I don't want to be the one to find it, to be honest.
Understood.
I would also like you to come on for the buried evidence when we search for that too. Help us.
Well, that pisses me off because the detectives wouldn't take me over there. And I told them, I kept describing the triangle-shaped tree formation. And they said, oh, well, we had the whole Boy Scout thing out there doing this and doing that. Really? But they didn't know what they were looking for. They didn't know what they were looking for. They were just scouring the whole landscape to see what they could discover by accident. Again, find as many pictures you can of Forest Lawn Drive in the late 70s, from the late 70s through the early 80s. It may not be there now because it probably isn't. They've done a lot of landscaping and stuff over the years in that area.
Well, I'm actually going to San Quentin in 2 weeks, and I'm getting the photographs from Jason Spence, who was the PI. He photographed the whole area at that time. So I'll have those pictures soon.
Perfect. That's what we need. Because if you go there and look now, it's not going to look anything like it did then. Not even close. You have no clue. I mean, if they have the right pictures and I see the right thing, I'll be able to say, look at that. You see that? The way that's formed? That looks like what he described to me. There it is. Then we have something to go on. Then you have an actual spot of real estate to go and look at.
All right, Carlo. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You guys are welcome. And I got a little bit of work I got to go get done. Oh, shoot. It's already 5 o'clock.
I know.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Take care, Carlo.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye. Please visit our website where you can subscribe to the podcast, find show notes, and check out extra content from all of our podcasts. All rights reserved. This has been a production of 722 Media Content.